Hello and welcome back to Vox Mundi and the second conversion update. So, I've been working quite a lot on the world since the last video, and I wanted to show you what I've done, so you can comment and leave even more suggestions, because I've read every single one of them and incorporated most of them. So, I have not yet started working on stuff like events and missions and idea groups, etc. All I've done is to change borders, governments, religions, cultures, and things like that. So, let's take a look at some of the areas I hadn't touched before. For example, Spain. Here in Spain, I have split Castile into 3 countries. Aragon here is representing the Jewish revolts of Crusader Kings 2. So they have the Jewish and Yazidi population. And Castile itself is quite strong. I actually made Aragon bigger, but then it turned out that Castile was too weak, ironically enough, so they couldn't protect themselves and got steamrolled. I did some observer games, you know, just for checking out initial balance. And I merged the Portuguese, Berber and Andalusian remnant cultures into Seville here, with a placeholder culture I call Ophir, which is like a mystical land in Jewish mythology, I think. If you've got a better name for it, please suggest it in the comments. For Fez here, I split off Mali into one big vassal, and seeing as there was so many Druze provinces down here, I made Mali entirely Druze, and most of the nations here are either Druze, like Jolof, or Yazidi, like Kanem Bornu and Hausa. In the Mediterranean, I have split off quite a bit of merchant republics. Venice is independent and is a merchant republic. We of course have Messene. We have Sicily, which I broke off from Baghdad. They are an Ottoman merchant republic that is Sikri. We have Cyprus, which should be a vassal of Dacia. I have just not yet added the connection there. Shandax, which I didn't make myself, but they were around from the very start. That adds up to quite a few merchant republics here, so some trade wars should be fought. And up here in the Baltic Sea we have Pomerania, which I changed to a merchant republic. Someone suggested that I made Danzig into a merchant republic, but a 1-province merchant republic would never survive, so I made it 3 provinces instead. So, what have I done here? I have also split Baghdad, of course. I split Baghdad into several nations because Baghdad was incredibly powerful, and they are still very, very powerful. To make you understand what I'm working with here, I usually do this. I go into military and then armies, and then I sort by force limit. And the force limit of the nations here in the old world, I compare them to each other and make sure that they are relatively balanced. So for example, Sabir used to have over 60 or 70 or something like that. I think I showed it in the last video. So I made them lose a lot of territory. Of course they still have like 50 or something, because their vassals aren't counted into this. But at least they are significantly weaker now. So each of these nations should be inferior to Baghdad. So Baghdad is still the strongest one by far, but Medina, Alexandria and Tripoli are forces in their own right, even though Baghdad may or may not reconquer, or not reconquer, but conquer them again. What else have I done? I've done so many things that I can't remember them, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to go by feeling here, and the thing is, I don't want to get it mixed up with things I showed in the last video. I can say which areas I haven't worked on, so you know that already. I have not worked much on Germany. This is absolutely, completely placeholder, having the Fraticelli papacy in the north and Köln down here. I need a lot of suggestions for this area, because I don't really know what to do. I want southern Köln here to be competitive with Lombardy and Ferrara, so they need to be strong. And I'm not sure if this setup is ideal. Perhaps it should be switched or something? I'm not sure. Anyway, Lithuania, I've not worked a lot on Lithuania either. I've just made Prussia. and I think Prussia is going to be Old Prussian in culture. So I'm going to split off this part here into its own vassal nation and stuff like that. Anyway, another big one is Sabir. In Sabir I've done a lot of work, because Sabir was incredibly powerful and they needed a slight nerf. Sabir is a Muslim tech Mastaki nation. I split two nations off of it, and they are buffer kingdoms that protect them from the stuff to their south and west. So they split off the Magyars here, and them and the Magyars are historical friends. And here we have Ossetia. They are also historical friends with Sabir, but they are nothing more. They're allied to Sabir, both of them, and they're historical friends, which represents the fact that Sabir set them up. Culture-wise, I have added lots of cultures here, as you can see. But let me finish this first. Shud up here is a vassal of Sabir, so they will be reabsorbed. They are Finnish in culture, and unlike all of these nations, they are actually Eastern tech. I have not finalized where the tech lines are going to be drawn, but I have a temporary setup for now. So they are Eastern tech, so they are a bit more advanced, and they are also the primary nation of Finnish, which makes them never lose their course. So they may resurge and take over parts of Sabir, possibly. And here we have Rajasetu, which is basically borderlands in Finnish. This is kind of this world's Ukraine, kind of. It's in a personal union with Sabir to make it last a bit longer than the vassal, so it won't be absorbed immediately. And they have a Finnish version of the Turkish culture, because this area in-game contained a lot of Turkish provinces. So I made Turkish into a Finnish culture, in the Finnish culture group, because it was like Mordvin Turkish, Mordvin Turkish, Mordvin Turkish, even down here. They have some cores, and their culture extends down there. And I figured, why not make this into a Finnish culture? Because the Turks are in the Arabic group, I think, the Turco-Semitic group. And that doesn't make sense in this world, because the Turks never went down here, or into Anatolia. Instead they stayed in the steppes, and the steppes are ruled by Sabir. But of course, I didn't make everyone Finnish. Anyway, I'll show you the cultures, and then I'll show you these hordes to the east. So, these are the Finnish cultures that we have. Hungarian is in the Finnish group, because the only Hungarian provinces were around here, and they were surrounded by Mordvin provinces. So I simply made them a Finnish culture and added more provinces back. The same thing with Alan. They were originally in the Byzantine group, but they speak Finnish now. So, no longer. And of course, Turkiska, which is Turkish in Finnish. Just simple Google Translate there. And here we have Samarkand. So, Sabir extended very far south, so I decided to split this off. This nation is not necessarily a historical friend with Sabir, but they share many similarities. And I see that I have forgotten to capitalize Samarkandi culture there, so I need to fix that. Anyway, this nation is very powerful, but they have a hard time finding allies. So, they will fight with Hamadan and Sistan. So, let's take a look at these hordes. There was one horde here from the beginning called Ely, I think. But Ely had such low crown authority, so when they got converted over, they lost all of their territory and simply didn't exist. They had two vassals, and one was Cuman and one was Kyrgyz. So I kept them as that, but I gave them more territory, simply. So Kimak here is a horde. They are Mastaki and Cuman. Kyrgyz, which I extended far to the east, because why not? I mean, that's kind of fun. That's a fun thing to do. I even gave them some uncolonized provinces, some that holds gold. And they are Kyrgyz and Zoroastrian, because there was a lot of Zoroastrians in this particular area. So I simply extended them east. Here in Persia, I split Hamadan into two. We have the Persian part and the Khorasani part. And that's basically what I did. They are perfectly balanced like this. And they are friendly to each other. Sistan and Hamadan usually, they ally each other from the beginning. Sistan also has a very large population of Manichaeans, which may or may not rise up in revolt. It's the same thing here with Persia. They have a large population of Mazdakis that may or may not rise up in revolt. Let's take a look here. In Damot, because of some wonky mapping, they didn't get these provinces, so I gave them to them and removed the nations that were there from vanilla. Alright, let me think so I don't forget anything. Oh, of course, Dacia here. I changed this because one of my viewers had some excellent suggestions for what I could do here. So instead of having one Vlach Pecheneg culture, I made several cultures. So as you can see here, we have the main Vlach culture that is consisting of the provinces that were mainly Vlach. I mean, I'm justifying this by making them... I kind of changed the setup because they were mostly Pechenegs here. But I wanted them to be in the South Slavic group. So I simply moved them around and switched provinces left and right, basically, until I ended up with this. So Vlach is the primary culture, it's the primary culture of Dacia. I also added in a Transylvanian culture here that is shared with Transylvania, and Transylvania is in the whole Roman Empire, so it's the only member that is not Czech in culture. In Crimea, they are Romanized Tatar, which is steppe people that have started speaking Romanian or Vlach and are part of this culture group. I made this into a vassal, named after the kingdom in Crusader Kings 2 that got destroyed towards the end, Duklia, and they have their own culture called Dukeljani. And I revived Croatia. They had one province here in Hum, so I gave them 2 and made them a vassal of Dacia. And I see that they have no core here, so I need to fix that as well. There's so many tiny things I need to do with each province, and that's what takes so long. Anyway, you may have noticed that I've switched around quite a few provinces here and there. But I do so proactively while I'm modding, so I usually forget. But you can see from the map, if you compare it to the old video. So Dacia is very, 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 very powerful. And they, yeah, of course, they lead a personal union with Crimea, and these are vassals. Let me see here. I think I changed the cultures around a bit here, so Kardox is entirely Kurdish. I also made Armenian more prominent, so they connect to the Greek lands here. And I switched around the religions slightly to make it more uniform. Like, Sharsianon here has 2 Sunni provinces and 1 iconoclast. And Obale Proroka has a lot of iconoclast provinces, and one of Dacia's vassals are even iconoclast. This because they had 2 provinces that actually were iconoclast. Alright, let me take a look at the religious situation and see if I've changed anything anywhere. I know I have, except for, of course, down here in Mali, where I changed a lot to Druze and Yazidi and stuff. So, anyway, this is not the only areas I've been working on. I have not yet started work on India. It's one of the few areas I still have left. India, Lithuania, and Germany. And I would love some more suggestions on what to do with these areas. And to give you some inspiration, I can show you the culture and religious map mode of India. As you can see, this is what it looks like. And I'm probably going to do a new culture group for the Mamluks and interesting stuff. Anyway, someone gave me a suggestion that the Nestorians that used to be here moved eastwards, and I like that idea, so I changed the setup here slightly. Shan is eliminated and instead replaced by Sutia and Tuangu and Sukhothai. And they are kind of a mix of Nestorians, Messalians and Buddhists here. I didn't wipe out all of the Buddhists, because India is very Buddhist and they would probably receive support from there. But the Nestorians were quite a force, and they didn't only bring the religion, they also brought the ideals. So we have quite a few oligarchic republics here, which is very interesting in my opinion. We have one that is Buddhist, Sukhothai is, I think, Buddhist as well, yes, and Tuangu is Nestorian. Is there any other ones? No, I think the rest are kingdoms. I'm not finished with this area. Yeah, Champa is a Nestorian despotic monarchy, and Majapahit here is a Nestorian monarchy. This area I am not opposed to changing. It would actually be fun to change this around. I've started doing some more work, like changing the Sunnis to Sikris, but I've only started it. I mean, I still need to switch all the provinces and stuff. I've not worked on them here. Also made some Ming provinces Nestorian here, in this area that historically turned Buddhist, or at least heretic. And yeah, I removed the Oirat Horde while I did the hordes up here, and replaced them with the Kyrgyz and gave some provinces to the Chagatai. And the Chagatai are Mazdaki as well. So I changed some religions around here, because there wasn't a big Sunni presence here. Rather a heavy Mazdaki influence that moves eastwards and until it collides with the Buddhist influences. I would love some suggestions for what to do with this part of the world, especially when it comes to actual setup of country religions, possible revolter nations and religions and cultures, and less about events for now, because I have not yet started writing events, but I am considering changing the events that switch provinces in Ming to Buddhist, I think, to change them to Nestorian or something of the like. You know where I'm getting with it anyway. The same thing with East Africa. I've changed the religions but not the provinces, and if you have any suggestions of something fun to do here, I would love it. Same thing here in West Africa. This is basically the standard setup, but I'm not opposed to changing it. Anyway, let me take a look and see if I missed anything. I don't think I have, or rather I think I have, it's just that I can't remember it for now. So, anyway, I would love suggestions for what to do with Germany, what to do with India, what to do with Lithuania. Lithuania is quite powerful right now. And I would love to hear feedback on the areas I've been working on. The ones that you can see here, like Castile and Fez, Baghdad, Dacia, Sabir in particular, because I really liked the setup here with Sabir. And I would also like to hear... this is for a future session of modding, but I would love to hear if you have any interesting scenarios for nations. What I mean with that is, like, if you feel like Vexin here, being like a Sunni in a predominantly Fraticelli area, would, for example, be incredibly humanist and never convert anything, and should have an idea group that supports that. That would be awesome. Or events that, like, does things here. You know, just stuff. And who should be the main colonizers of the world here? I'm thinking Fez, Seville, Castile, Antalam Faid, and Crioch-Lochlan. But it could be anyone. I mean, if you want, let's say Oman. If Oman should be able to colonize, perhaps they would rush for Australia or Western United States and stuff. I mean, colonization is definitely going to be ahistorical anyway, because of Iceland. As you can see here, Iceland has got a head start. That's what happens when you leave Vikings alone for too long. They start exploring, and indeed they did. So they have Greenland, and they have just landed here in Newfoundland. And Iceland starts out with not one, not two, but 3 explorers of awesome quality. So they will be able to explore the seas before anyone else. So things like that you can also suggest. For example, who should have explorers from the very beginning? Seville? Should Seville be like Portugal? Or should Castile be like Portugal? I would like to hear some suggestions for that. Anyway, I will keep you updated with everything I do, and please keep those comments coming. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.